Okay, so a very good morning to everyone. I hope everyone had a good rest yesterday.
Dobro jutro vsi skupaj, upam, da ste se dobro odpočili.
Physically good rest, so mentally prepared to meditate today.
Da ste fizično spočiti in v umu pripravljeni na današnjo meditacijo.
So, first of all, I always like to remind everybody before listening to the teachings, contemplating on the teachings, and practicing any practice, to try and be free of what we call the three stains.
Vsakeč, kadar učim, potem vsakoga probam se spomniti na to, da preden začnemo z poslušanjem, razmišljanjem in prakso meditacije, da se najprej osvobodimo treh napak.
Very beautiful example given through a cup and tea. Or here, let's say coffee. People like to drink coffee, right? So,
lep primer je ponazorjeno to z skodelico čaja, oziroma tukaj ljudje bolj pijete kavo, recimo skodelico kave.
I learned to drink coffee from here.
Tukaj sem se naučil piti kavo, navadil piti kavo pri vas.
Yeah. No, I enjoy it very much.
Zdaj mi je zelo všeč.
So, when you, first thing is, like supposing a cup is turned upside down, then no matter how much you pour, coffee into the cup or over the cup is never going to be filled. So in the same way, if we come here but don't listen to the teaching, don't be in the teaching, then it is like that. You are not going to benefit out of the teaching. So first stain, we must try to avoid that kind of circumstance.
In najprej, če damo za primer narobe obrnjeno skodelico, ne glede na to, koliko kave bi zlili v tako skodelico, ne bo nikoli nič v njej. In na podoben način, če pridemo sem, pa ne poslušamo, kaj učitelj govori, potem nam to ne bo nič koristilo, zaradi tega se moramo izogniti tej napaki pri poslušanju učenja.
We must try and receive teaching. We must try and be in a place where teaching takes place, etc. So of course here we are in the retreat where Dhamma teaching is being taught and where you will be practicing, so that way the first circumstance is ripened, so that way we create the first circumstance.
In skratka, če želimo slišati učenje, se moramo potruditi in priti tja in poslušati tam, kjer so učenje. In zdaj tukaj imamo retreat, tako da prvi pogoj ali pa prva okoliščina je že izpolnjena, mi smo fizično prisotni in lahko poslušamo učenje.
Now, the second stain is even if the cup is turned up, but if the cup has a defect, like it is broken, it is cracked, then no matter how lovely a coffee you pour into it, it will not be able to sustain the coffee. The coffee will seep out and you will not be able to enjoy the coffee. So in the same way, even if we are in a place like this, where Dhamma teaching is being given, you are sitting in the shrine hall, trying to practice the Dhamma, but if one does not soak in the teaching, if one does not listen to the teaching, one does not contemplate the teaching, one does not put the teaching in one's mind, and then it is like the second defect. Though the Dhamma teaching you receive, though you are in this place where the Dhamma teaching is being taught, you will not be able to benefit out of it, because it is not, you are not able to sustain it. So therefore, trying to avoid the stain like this, one must, since you are here listening to the teaching, then one must be able to take in the teaching, contemplate on the teaching, reflect on the teaching, and then practice the teaching.
Druga napaka je ponazorjena z skodelico, ki je sicer pravilno obrnjena, vendar ima razpoke. In ne glede na to, koliko najboljše kave zlivamo noter, ta kava ne bo ostala v tej skodelici, ne more obdržati vsebine. In tako ne bomo mogli uživati v kavi. In se pravi tudi, kadar pridemo na kraj, kjer se uči dharma, kjer je prisotna dharma in sedimo v templju in poslušamo učenja, če nismo sposobni tega vsrkati vase in ne poslušamo in ne razmišljamo o tem, se to ne ohrani v našem umu, potem od tega je to druga napaka, zaradi tega potem ne bomo imeli od učenj nikakršne koristi, ker ne bomo ničesar od tega, kar smo slišali, obdržali. Torej poskušamo se izogniti tej napaki, tako da pozorno poslušamo, da si zapomnimo, kaj smo slišali, razmišljamo o tem in potem to dejansko tudi udejanimo v praksi.
Now, the third stain to avoid is supposing we have a beautiful coffee cup, we have a lovely coffee, but in the cup there is poison. Then no matter how lovely the coffee is, no matter whether the cup can contain the coffee or not, one will not be able to drink the coffee. And even if one drinks the coffee, then one knows what will happen, So same way, though we are in a place where Dhamma is being taught, we practice the Dhamma, we contemplate the Dhamma and do all that kind, but if our motivation is not right, if our motivation is kind of defected by the negative thoughts such as ego, such as hatred, etc., etc. Like there are many, who do lots of good work, but the intention of doing the good work is not really to benefit others, but just for some kind of gain of, fame, some recognition, or some profit in return to gain, or take advantage of people. So that way, then the intention or the motivation is corrupted. So such a good work, such a good effort, everything is wasted that way. So one must be free from that kind of stain.
Tretja napaka je, lahko imamo čudovito šalico, ki nima nobenih razpok, dobro kavo, vendar je po tej šalici strup in na ta način spet ne bomo mogli uživati v kavi, oziroma celo če spijemo tako pijačo, se potem s tem v resnici samo zastrupimo. Tudi če je prisoten prvi pogoj, da smo tukaj poslušamo učenja, in tudi če prisoten drugi pogoj, oziroma nimamo druge napake in si zapomnimo, kaj smo slišali, razmišljamo o tem in to udejanjamo v praksi, vendar če je naša motivacija za to početje napačna, potem je to skvarjena praksa oziroma zamračena praksa, ima napako, da je pri nas so prisotne negativne misli, ego, razne negativna čustva, ki nas motivirajo za to početje. Torej, mnogi ljudje se udeležujejo ali pa počnejo dobra dela, ampak to zgolj počnejo iz sebičnih motivov, zato da bi iz tega dobili nek dobiček ali da bi postali slavni, ali da bi jih vsi poznali kot dobrotnike, ali da bi na nek način izkoristili to, kar počnejo in s tem izkoriščali druge. In če je taka motivacija, se pravi slaba, pokvarjena motivacija, potem je vse to dobro delo za manj in nima smisla.
So an action is not judged by its size or magnitude, but by its motivation, the goodness of the motivation.
In tako da merilo dobrih dejanj ali pa dejanj nasploh ni, kako velika so obseg teh dejanj, ampak to, kakšna je motivacija zadaj za tem.
It is said that Buddha sowed the seed of enlightenment in him, in one of the lifetimes where he was a small child playing with a group of children, and there one of the enlightened Buddha was manifested begging, how monks beg. So the small child, all the child were busy playing, but Buddha, at that time, of course not Buddha, but small child, he generated great devotion and wish to benefit this monk and then to all beings. So he did not have anything to offer, but from the ground he took a handful of sand and imagined like how small children build castles with sand. So he imagined this as an offering, and he offered to the then the Buddha, and then in his begging bowl. So with that kind of offering, though it was a handful of sand, the motivation of the child was so genuine that sowed the seed in him, and his journey to enlightenment, which finally ripened in the Bodh Gaya under the Bodhi tree, started then. So that way the motivation is the most important, not the size of what we do. Of course, if you can do big with good motivation, is good. It doesn't mean you have to limit yourself to small thing, and then make an excuse that motivation is important. But but of course, but at the end, motivation is the most important.
Ena zgodba obstaja o prejšnjih življenjih Bude Šakjamunija, kjer se v njemu prebudilo seme razsvetljenja. Ko je bil v tem življenju bil majhen otrok in se je igral z drugimi otroci. In prejšnji Buda se je manifestiral, se pravi Buda, ki je bil pred Budo Šakjamunijo, se je manifestiral v obliki meniha berača in je prosil za hrano. In ostali otroci so bili zaposleni s tem, da so se igrali. Medtem ko se je v Budi zbudila velika predanost in želja, da bi pomagal temu menihu in da bi pomagal vsem čutečim bitjem. In kljub temu, da ni imel ničesar, kar bi lahko ponudil, je kot majhni otroci, ki se igrajo s peskom in gradijo gradove, je vzel pest peska in si predstavljal, da so to najboljše možne daritve za Budo in to ponudil Budi v njegovo, oziroma temu beraču v njegovo skledo. In na ta način, čeprav je šlo fizično samo za pest peska, ampak zaradi njegove motivacije, ki je bila iskrena in neskončna, se je v njem prebudilo seme razsvetljenja, ki je potem dozorelo v Bodh Gaji pod figovim drevesom, Bodhi trijem, kjer je Buda Šakjamuni potem dokončno dosegel motivacijo, dosegel razsvetljenje. Tako da je pozitivna motivacija najpomembnejša, ne pa sam obseg ali pa veličina tistega, kar počnemo. Seveda pa to ne pomeni, da ne smemo tudi početi dobrih dejanj v velikem obsegu, to je dobro, lahko jih, ni treba, da imamo potem izgovor, da rečemo, samo motivacija je pomembna, torej ni važno, ali so moja dejanja velika ali majhna. Če lahko s pozitivno, dobro, pravilno motivacijo delamo velika pozitivna dejanja, je to zelo dobro.
So we are here wanting to practice shamatha meditation. We are here wanting to practice the medicine Buddha practice. So our motivation should be in the right way. It should not be just to have some kind of tranquility, some kind of nice feeling floating in the air. So not just that, not just for the sake of being, free from so-called stress. So not just so limited. It shouldn't be so limited to that. It should be more than that. because we put so much effort into it, we must try and get something that is better, more useful than that. Just for tranquility, just for some kind of happy feeling, there are many other things you can do. There are many other things you can take. And then, but those are all temporary solutions. One thing leads to another. So those are not. So one should not practice the shamatha meditation just for that. Of course, those are part and parcel, but our shamatha meditation should be so that we can realize the limitless potential in each and every one of us, and through that we can benefit all mother sentient beings to realize their limitless potential in each and every one of them. So that should be our main goal or motivation. So with that, then we practice shamatha, we do the medicine Buddha sadhana, then our motivation is limitless. So therefore, the result also becomes limitless power. So it is not just limited to a happy feeling, for some time. So yeah, that is very important. Otherwise, these days, meditation just become like a tranquilizer, where people just want some kind of happy floating feeling, and then nothing more than that, and so that is not really too useful, just a temporary kind of relief, but that leads to another stress, which is, you become, addicted to this, and when you become addicted to that, addiction becomes another problem, so it does not relieve you from, suffering. It creates a new suffering there, so, and that is no good. We are not looking for that.
Zdaj, sem smo prišli zato, da bi delali prakso umirjanja uma, šamate, Bude medicine, in naša motivacija mora biti pravilna. Ne počnemo tega samo zato, da bi se malo pomirili, da bi v sebi ustvarili nek lahkoten, lebdeč občutek, da bi se osvobodili stresa. Naša motivacija ne sme biti tako omejena. Tukaj smo prišli, zelo smo se potrudili, da bi prišli sem, in to je vredno veliko več, in zaradi tega mora biti naša motivacija širše zastavljena, bolj neskončna, zato da bomo iz tega dobili več, da bo to res nekaj dobrega in koristnega. Torej ne samo kot neko pomirjevalo, neka začasna pomiritev, nek začasen srečen občutek, ker zato lahko uporabimo druge stvari. Tukaj gre ponavadi samo za neko začasno olajšanje. Naša praksa ne bi smela biti namenjena samo temu, ampak zato, da spoznamo naš resničen neskončen potencial, to mora biti naša motivacija. In s tem, da prepoznamo, da se v nas samih in vseh čutečih biti nahaja ta neskončen potencial, potem lahko prakticiramo zato z željo, da bi koristili vsem čutečim bitjem, ki so bile v preteklih življenjih naše matere, in da vsakega od teh bitij, potem ko smo sami prepoznali ta neskončen potencial, pripeljemo do stanja, ker tudi oni prepoznajo ta potencial in se osvobodijo vsega trpljenja, in to naj bi bil naš glavni cilj naše prakse. In naša motivacija mora biti neskončna, in tako bodo tudi rezultati naše prakse neskončni. Ne da bi samo dosegli neke srečne občutke, ki trajajo nekaj časa, ker je to na nek način tako, kot da bi vzeli pomirjevala in nič več kot to, in to ni preveč koristno, oziroma lahko prinese samo še dodaten stres, ker se lahko, kot vsakega pomirjevala, se lahko človek tega navadi v smislu, da postane odvisen od tega, in potem spet to prinese lahko novo trpljenje, zato to ni pravilen način, kako se lotevamo stvari.
So medicine Buddha practice also same. So we should not limit ourselves to the practice of medicine Buddha just to be free from some kind of sickness at the moment. Of course, we do practice for such reasons, and perfectly okay, but it should be more than that. For example, we are, the the formation of the elements create, are this, the physical being, and that with the, it is very much in connection with our emotions. So when the elements, when our emotions are imbalanced, then it affects the elements balance also. So that way, then when the elements are imbalanced, then we have various physical problems, so-called sicknesses. So that way, then if we are able to develop mentally, if we are able to achieve a peace from within, then even our elements will be balanced. And when that happens, then when we will enjoy good health also. So that way, then from within, if we can develop change, and then also external factors will change. For example, many masters have, through the experience, have told that of course, taking form of however we are, then it is the combination of elements. So we all have various kinds of problems through that, imbalance of the elements. So when they acquire some kind of problem, physical problems like sicknesses, they said they try many different methods of medication. Like sometimes we have blood pressure, high blood pressure, sometimes some kind of problems which create lots of, uneasiness. They have lots of, kind of, I don't know what exactly that is. Some things, and then mentally very disturbed. Cannot hear too much sound, disturbance too much like this. Cannot go to places where lots of people, too many people there like this. So they have lots of these days medications for these kind of problems, and they tried many of these, but really did not work. So work for a very short period of time, and again comes back. So, and then finally they look into the practice, and when they start practicing practices such as we say Tonglen practice, give and take, exchanging oneself in the place of another. So when one does that, then one through that practice, then the strong grasping of the self, selfishness towards oneself decreases, and care, openness towards others, care for others develop. So when these kind of practice is done, automatically they overcome such physical illnesses. So very much clear, that one can tackle the true sickness through such methods, because when our mental stability is not good, then that affects our elements. And when elements are affected, then we experience various physical sicknesses. So therefore, now even scientifically being proved, that if we are mentally at peace, if we are mentally, open towards beings, not so self-centered, then, able to check our mental, these conflicting emotions, then automatically our physical well-being also is greatly improved. We live longer, we age slower, so all these, it is it's scientifically being proved, so very much true. Nowadays, people only believe in science, they want proof, so even being proved now, which already in the Dhamma, states, for many centuries.
Pri praksi Bude medicine moramo imeti ravno tako motivacijo, se pravi, ne smemo se omejevati pri naši motivaciji, naša motivacija mora biti neskončna, da bi realizirali svoj neskončni potencial in pomagali vsem drugim to doseči. Ni dovolj, če se omejimo samo na to, da bi radi pozdravili neke začasne bolezni, ki nastarajo. Seveda lahko delamo tudi to, lahko je to del razlogov, zakaj delamo prakso, ampak poleg tega moramo imeti tudi to večjo, širšo, neskončno motivacijo. Recimo za primer, ker smo narejeni, naše fizično telo je narejeno iz elementov in ti elementi so povezani z energijami oziroma čustvi v našem telesu, stanju uma, in kadar so naše stanja uma niso v ravnovesju, se pravi, imamo polno negativnih emocij, misli, potem tudi elementi niso v ravnovesju in potem se pojavijo razni problemi, ki jih potem poimenujemo kot različne bolezni. Če se posvetimo temu, da razvijamo, umirjamo svoj um, ga razvijamo pozitivno stanje uma, če uspemo vzgojiti v sebi mir, ki prihaja od znotraj, potem bojo tudi elementi v ravnovesju in v tem primeru lahko potem uživamo v dobrem zdravju. Se pravi, če lahko spremenimo nekaj znotraj sebe, potem se bo ta sprememba začela pojavljati tudi na zunaj v fizičnem telesu in to je tudi izkušnja v tradiciji budizma, so mnogi mojstri doživljali to, ker takoj, ko se pojavimo v tej fizični obliki, seveda smo sestavljeni iz elementov in tako, da tudi razni mojstri so izkušali razne oblike fizične bolezni in potem so poskušali to na nek način rešiti. In tako, da so poskušali z različnimi zdravili, recimo kot primer je dal Rinpoče, lahko imamo visok pritisk in zaradi tega se počutimo nelagodno, tesnobno, ne moremo biti v krajih, kjer je veliko ljudi ali pa veliko hrupa, skratka ne počutimo se dobro in potem lahko jemljamo najrazličnejša zdravila, ampak mojstri so ugotovili, da njim niso ta zdravila pomagala oziroma mogoče za kratek čas, ampak na dolgi rok niso delovala ta zdravila. Če so se pa bolj posvetili praksi, recimo praksi Tonglena, v kateri sebe izmenjamo, sebe postavljamo na mesto drugih, se pravi, da poskušamo vse trpljenje drugih čutečih biti vzeti nase in jim dati vse pozitivne kvalitete, ki jih posedujemo. In v tem primeru se zmanjša naše oklepanje jaza, naše močno oklepanje jaza in se pojavi skrb ali pa sočutje do drugih in na ta način se umiri in tako so bolezni izginili. Se pravi, na empiričen način so mojstri videli, da ko so prakticirali, so delali dobro prakso, so tudi fizične bolezni izginile. Zelo jasna je bila ta povezava, da metode meditacije lahko pomagajo pri tem, da se odpravi fizična bolezen. Kadar pa nismo v dobrem stanju, naš um ni v dobrem stanju, ni stabilen, ni uravnovešen, potem tudi elementi niso v ravnovesju in tako lahko na fizičnem nivoju zbolimo. In dan današnji tudi je to dokazala tudi znanost, da kadar z raznimi preiskavami so ugotovili povezavo med mentalnim ali pa umskim počutjem in fizičnimi boleznimi. Ugotovili so, da kadar nismo zelo skoncentrirani nase, kadar obvladujemo svoje negativne stanje uma, svoje negativne čustva, potem bomo živeli dlje, počasneje se bomo starali, lahko bomo uživali v dobrem zdravju. In Rinpoče pravi, dan današnji ljudje verjamejo temu, kar lahko znanost dokaže, in zdaj že so take raziskave, ki dokazujejo to povezavo, medtem ko pa v budistični tradiciji se pa to veže stoletja.
So that way, then we will be more balanced, we will have more balanced outlook. Of course, we need to take medicines to get better, isn't it? So if we are suffering from certain problem, then take medicine, go to doctor. Those are important. Then through our practice, then we attack the root cause of those problems. So that way, temporarily also we take care, and then permanently also we take care. So that way we attack the problem from all sides. Not just from one side. So when we do practice like medicine Buddha, then our motivation, our understanding should be in that. Not just relief from a headache or some kind of problem, but wanting to relief from the root cause of those problems, and then the temporary reliefs are byproducts of it.
Na ta način imamo lahko bolj uravnotežen pristop. Seveda, kadar imamo določene fizične probleme, seveda gremo k zdravniku in vzamemo predpisana zdravila, ampak naša praksa je pa tista, ki se dotakne potem ali pa odstrani tak izvirni problem, najglobji vzrok naših težav, tako da lahko na relativnem začasnem nivoju lahko poskrbimo zase, tako da vzamemo zdravila ali pa gremo v zdravniku, kadar je treba pozdraviti določeno bolezen, ampak na absolutnem nivoju pa moramo odstraniti vzroke, ki sploh povzročajo te bolezni, in zato delamo prakso. Se pravi, praksa ni zato, da se bomo osvobodili glavobola, ker to ni glavni problem, ampak se moramo dotakniti vzroka vseh neravnovesij, ki se nahajajo v našem umu, in odpraviti to s prakso. In potem bo tudi na relativnem nivoju bo prišlo do olajšanja kot recimo temu stranski produkt naše prakse.
So now with that kind of understanding, and then we do meditation, we do the medicine Buddha practice. So here this year, the retreat organized here in Slovenia, this was my request, and not only my request, but advice of our Supreme Guru Vajradhara, and with his advice, then with my genuine intention, want to have this kind of a gathering every year from all the Palpung centers, and all, not only limited to Palpung centers, but even those who are not directly related to Palpung center, but of course related to Palpung, because Palpung is the is from where the Buddha's teaching manifests, to benefit beings. So everybody is connected to that. So that way, then if we can have this kind of a teaching course or gathering from all coming together, then I think it is very healthy. It is not just my center, your center, this place or that place. It is everybody together for the same cause. So I think that is very important. Then also you have a more, kind of one, feeling of one, which is very important also for the growth. So that way I'm happy to, see people from various places come here together to take part. And then hopefully next year and the year coming after, we can have like this in different place. Every year organize in different place like that, turn by turn. So every year or every alternate year that way. And then I think that is very, very good. So along with that, of course, we can also have, your own individual, we can visit and have, as we have been doing. But to start something like this, I think very important. So, also we can decide, on like I was thinking, have certain topic, and then, like for example, teaching on the, the Bodhisattva's way of life by, Shantideva. So something like that, or any, one can choose any topic, any teaching, and then can have first teaching somewhere, the next teaching somewhere, so every year or every alternate year have that way. So it will bring everybody together. It will teach everybody to work together, feel together, be together, rather than thinking one is individual. So I think that is important. That itself is practice. So I think I'm very happy to be able to do this this time, and looking forward to many more in the future, and hoping the even the people taking part in it will grow from year to year because of this understanding, not because we want more people. So Dharma, that is not judged by whether more people attend the teaching or less people attend the teaching. That is not important. What is important is genuineness of the Dharma, and that is important. So with that kind of understanding, with that kind of feeling, if one comes together, then that is for a genuine cause. So hopefully we can do this starting from this year. Well, now we can continue.
In zdaj s tem razumevanjem, zakaj počnemo to prakso, bomo šli na prakso Bude medicine. Letos so ta učenja v Sloveniji na željo Rinpoče oziroma po nasvetu Guru Vajradhare Taisitu pa Rinpoče je Rinpoče z iskreno željo prišel sem, da bi se tukaj začel ciklus učenj, ki bi se ponavljala vsako leto in kamor bi lahko prišli vsi ljudje iz Palpung centrov, ampak tudi iz ostalih centrov, ki mogoče niso neposredno povezani z Palpungom, ker pa je Palpung pomeni kraj, odkudar prihajajo učenja, odkudar so se manifestirale učenja, smo v bistvu vsi, ki delamo prakso, na nek način povezani s tem. In da bi se na teh učenjih vsi zbrali, da ne bi več razmišljali v smislu, to je moj center, tukaj smo mi, ampak da bi razumeli, da se vsi trudimo za isto stvar, da smo vsi usmerjeni v istem cilju in da bi se tukaj pojavil občutek neke enotnosti med tistimi, ki prakticiramo dharmo, in to je zelo pomembno. Zato pravi Rinpoče, da upa, da bo to lahko se ponavljalo vsako leto, da bo raslo, in da bi bil zelo vesel, če bi se lahko ponavljali, da se bodo ponavljali taki dogodki na različnih krajih, v različnih državah naslednje leto ali pa mogoče vsake drugo leto. In na ta način se bomo lahko zbrali vsi, ki smo povezani. Seveda bo šel tudi v druge države, bo učil v drugih državah kot prej, ampak v taki obliki retrita se lahko dobivamo vsako leto ali pa vsako drugo leto. In je pomembno, da se je to začelo, in tudi potem lahko vsakič izberemo neko temo, o kateri bo Rinpoče učil, kot naprimer Bodhisattva Charyavatara ali pa katerakoli druga tema. In na ta način je tudi to neko učenje, da se naučimo delati skupaj, sodelovati, bolj kot pa razmišljati samo na nek individualističen način. In Rinpoče pravi, da je vesel, da je prišel tokrat sem, in upa, in se veseli, da se bo to nadaljevalo tudi v prihodnje. ta učenja in da bo prihajalo zmeri več in več ljudi. Seveda je dodal, da ni pomembno, koliko ljudi pride, da to ni glavna stvar, ampak je glavna stvar, da se iskreno in dobro prakticira dharma, ne pa to, koliko ljudi je prisotnih in upam, da je to zdaj začetek nečesa takega.
So now, so as I've been saying, we all, irrespective of what kind of being we are, whether we are humans, whether we are animals, whether we are, so-called the worldly gods, whatever, whether we are, from humans also, whether we are from, the east part of the world, we are from the west part of the world, north part of the world, south part of the world, whether we are, men, whether we are women, whether we are adults, whether we are children, then whether we are, we follow any particular religion or whether we don't follow any particular religion. So irrespective of all this, we all wish for one common thing, and that is happiness. We do everything possible in our day-to-day life, from day to day, from year to year, we do, from life to life, we do trying to achieve happiness. So whether it is your, beautiful pet at home, or whether it is, your children, yourself, everybody, looking for this so-called happiness. So this is the common thing between all of us.
In vsi ljudje, ne glede na to, odkot smo, vse živali, vsi posvetni bogovi, vsi ljudje, ne glede na to, ali smo iz vzhoda, zahoda, severa, juga, ali smo ženske ali moški, ali smo odrasli ali otroci, ne glede na to, ali pripadamo kakšni religiji ali ne. Vsi si želimo sreče in vse, kar počnemo, počnemo zato, da bi bili srečni. Iz dneva v dan, iz leta v leto, iz življenja v življenje si želimo doseči srečo. Ne glede na to, je to naš hišni ljubimec, ki pridemo domov, a so to naši otroci, vsi si prizadevamo za tako imenovano srečo.
And so to try and achieve this happiness, then we all try so many things. We all try many kind of methods, many kind of ways. We invent many ways, etc. And most of us try to achieve this through a kind of a sensorial level, through physical appearance, through sound, through taste, through touch, etc. So sensorial level, we try to achieve all the time.
In večinoma, vsi se trudimo doseči srečo, večinoma poskušamo mnoge načine, mnoge metode, izmišljujemo si načine, kako bi prišli do te sreče in večinoma se poskušamo priti do te sreče na nivoju čutnih zaznav, bodi si preko izgleda, preko zvoka, preko okusa, preko dotika.
So, for example, sound, we try to, achieve happiness through listening to different kind of sound. Then music, brings us great happiness, joy. So we listen to music, trying to search for a music which will make us happy, good music and not noise. And once we find that kind of music, then our expectation of the music, becomes such that the next music which can satisfy us is much more difficult than we used to be. Because our sense of music, our understanding of music become more now, So that way, everything, we always try to achieve happiness in that kind of external factor. And that is not the really true solution to finding this happiness. Even like food, Like I say, when I was before in India, never traveled, a Chinese food, whatever you get locally, that was Chinese food for me. So I enjoy whatever food that is. But once I started traveling in Asia, then the real Chinese food you get in places like Taiwan, Hong Kong, and all these places. Then when you order Chinese food in India, it cannot satisfy you anymore, because that is not Chinese food. That is so-called Chinese food, but tastes more like Indian food. So already, no more, cannot satisfy you anymore. So that way, if we look in that kind of, aspects, then very difficult to truly gain happiness, truly gain peace. But we always trying to do this, in the sensorial level, always trying to achieve happiness. We think we can achieve, but very difficult, not able to do that.
Recimo, če vzamemo za primer zvok, radi poslušamo prijetne zvoke in trudimo se, da bi našli srečo s tem, da poslušamo prijetne zvoke ali poslušamo glasbo. Če najdemo glasbo, ki nam je všeč, potem nam to prinese veselje in veliko radost. Zato potem iščemo dobro glasbo, ne pa nekaj hrupnega, nekaj, kar doživljamo kot hrup. In potem, ko enkrat najdemo tako glasbo, potem bomo zelo težko zadovoljeni naslednjič, ko bomo iskali tako glasbo, ker bo naš okus zmeri bolj prefinjen in bomo zmeri bolj zahtevni zaradi tega, ker se je naš okus spremenil oziroma izboljšal. In na ta način vedno iščemo rešitev ali pa srečo v zunanjih dejavnikih, ampak to ni resnična rešitev, s tem ne moremo doseči resnične sreče. Če recimo vzamemo za primer tudi hrano, Rinpoče pravi, dokler je živel samo v Indiji in ni potoval, je jedel v Indiji kitajsko hrano in pač karkoli že so mu ponudili kot kitajsko hrano, se mu je zdelo, da je to v redu. Potem pa, ko je začel potovati, je šel dejansko na Tajvan, v Hong Kong, tam, kjer imajo pravo kitajsko hrano, in potem ta hrana, ki so mu jo ponujali v Indiji kot kitajsko hrano, ni bila več dobra. Se pravi, to je bila potem tako imenovana kitajska hrana in mu ni bila več všeč, ga ni mogla zadovoljiti v smislu pričakovanja, ker je vedel, da to ni ta prava kitajska hrana. In če gledamo na ta način, potem je zelo težko doseči srečo ali mir, ker se zmeri trudimo, da bi nekako zadovoljili svoje čute od zunaj in kljub temu zmeraj znova poskušamo to. Mislimo, da bomo tako dosegli srečo, ampak to je zelo težko.
The instant Nescafe coffee no more satisfy me, Yeah, the so-called 3-in-1, no more. When I look at that, I don't feel like drinking anymore, So, but before I was very happy with that, But now no more. I need to carry my own coffee to brew, So, it is like that, So everything like that. We become like this, and then so that way we cannot achieve happiness, unless we have contentment from within. We will never be able to contain ourselves. It is said it is like the drinking of salt water. The more we drink, the more thirsty we become. It is said long time back, sailors used to die in the middle of the ocean when they are stranded. They used to die out of thirst. Though they are surrounded by water, they die out of thirst because they cannot drink the salt water. The more they drink, the more thirsty you feel, and after some time you get, you die out of that. So in the same way, the more we try to entertain ourselves through these kind of, methods, then we become more addicted to them, and then it becomes more and more. So that is not the way of overcoming such like contentment. So the more you try to feed with these materials, then the more you want, the more, and then that way there's never end to one's want. But in the other hand, if we look inward and try to develop contentment, then even if we have very little, if we are satisfied with that, if we are happy with that, then we are happy. Then that is how we are able to achieve happiness. So it has to develop from within. From external factors, we will not be able to achieve this.
Rinpoche je dal še en primer, zdaj je postal izkušen ljubitelj kave in zdaj ga Nescafe 3 v enem ne more več zadovoljiti, ni več veselkovit Nescafe, prav, da tega ne bi pil, ampak mora sabo posebej svoj pribor in kavo, da si sam lahko skuha svojo kavo, tako kot je ta prava kava. Ampak na ta način ne moramo doseči resnične sreče. Če nismo zadovoljni od znotraj, potem je to tako, kot da bi z zadovoljevanjem čutnih dražljajev ali pa čutov, kot da bi pili, da bi hoteli potešiti žejo s tem, da pijemo slano vodo. In vemo, da kadar pijemo slano vodo, potem postajamo zmeraj bolj žejni. Recimo mornarji, ki so včasih nasedli in na otoku, kjer ni bilo vode, so umrli od žeje. Obkroženi so bili z neskončnim oceanom vode, ampak ta voda je bila slana in potem, ko so jo pili, ni mogla potešiti njihove žeje, ampak so postajali vedno bolj žejni in na koncu so od tega umrli. In na podoben način, bolj ko poskušamo zadovoljevati svoje čute, bolj zasvojeni smo s tem in hočemo več in več. In na ta način ne moremo nikoli preseči teh občutkov, nikoli ne moremo preseči tega nezadovoljstva, ker bolj ko hranimo te čutne užitke, več hočemo in temu ni nikoli konca, dokler se ne obrnemo navznoter. In kadar smo lahko zadovoljni in smo zadovoljni s tistim, kar imamo, čeprav je to malo, in če prihaja to zadovoljstvo od znotraj, potem lahko dosežemo srečo.
But saying that, I don't throw away my coffee. When I'm given good coffee by my very kind friends, I enjoy it, and I drink it. So it doesn't mean one has to become anti good things. So it doesn't mean that. We have to recognize and understand the reality of it. So when I drink my good coffee, I enjoy it. I get it. It is my good karma. I enjoy it and I drink it. I don't throw it away. But I know that this is a temporary kind of happiness, satisfaction. It serves purpose only temporary. But I enjoy in the moment. But I'm not addicted to it. If I don't have it, also I can manage. So that way. So anything in life, whatever you enjoy, whatever you do, there has to be balance. If no balance, then that is, a big problem also. So there are, practitioners who don't understand this and become too serious. And they think they cannot do this, they cannot do that, they cannot have this, they cannot have that, they need to do this, and then, too much, too much. And of course, if one can, is good, but one has to be, in one's level also. You cannot, you cannot jump off the cliff if you don't have wings, right? And so we have to be in our own level. So that way one has to know how to balance one's life, and that is important. So if we do that, then our practice can be, we can sustain our practice. We will become a good practitioner throughout and improve. We will not be short-term practitioner, and after some time, then you are totally against the teaching. When you hear the practice, it becomes the greatest irritation to you. And then you start doing everything that is opposite. So those kind of obstacles will not happen to you. So very important to be balanced.
Rinpoche se je zdaj dodal k temu, da pa seveda, če mu njegovi dobri, prijazni prijatelji dajo kakšno dobro kavo, je ne vrže stran, ampak v njej uživa. To, kar je povedal, ne pomeni, da smo zdaj nastrojeni in proti vsaki dobri stvari. Prepoznati je treba, da je to samo začasna stvar, ki prinaša začasno srečo, in pravim, če imam dobro karmo, da lahko začasno uživam v skodelici dobre kave, potem je to v redu in se zavedam, da je to nekaj začasnega, ampak uživam v tem trenutku. Seveda pa zaradi tega ne postanem odvisen od kave in kadar ni na voljo kave, tudi zaradi tega ni noben problem. In tako je z vsako stvarjo v tem življenju. Se pravi, moramo imeti neko ravnovesje, ker če tega ni, če ni ravnovesja ali pa uravnoteženega pristopa, potem lahko tudi iz tega naredimo, si ustvarimo velik problem. Recimo, če imamo preveč resen, preveč zadrgnjen odnos do življenja ali pa do prakse in potem razmišljamo o tem, česa vsega ne smemo imeti ali pa česa vsega ne smemo početi, in to je spet pretiravanje v drugi smeri. Moramo poznati ali pa moramo vedeti, na kakšnem nivoju smo. Se pravi, če je nekdo zelo dober praktikant, seveda on se lahko spontano odreče vsem tem stvarem, ampak mi moramo vedeti, kje smo, se pravi, ne moramo zavreči do vsega in iti v jamo, ker tudi, če nimamo kril, potem ni dobro, če skakamo dol z roba prepada. In ko vemo, ali pa vemo, poznamo sebe, vemo, kje smo, kaj zmoremo, kaj je dobro za nas, potem je naš pristop uravnotežen in to je zelo pomembno, ker na ta način bo naša praksa trajnostna, bo dolgoročno vzdržala in bomo postali dobri praktikanti, ki bomo napredovali v svoji praksi. Kajti, če postanemo nekdo, ki je zelo proti najrazličnejšim stvarem oziroma ki razmišlja o tem, kaj česa vsega ne sme in če se ne sme imeti, potem lahko postanemo preveč fanatični v svoji praksi, to traja lahko nekaj časa. Potem se nam pa vse skupaj obrne in postanemo nastrojeni proti praksi in vse, kar je povezano s tem, zelo zmoti in začnemo početi vse ravno obratno od tega, kar smo počeli prej, in to ni dober pristop, ker ni uravnovešen.
So that way we can see that only external, through external factors we cannot achieve happiness. We need internal growth. So if we have internal growth, then we can truly achieve this happiness. So therefore, in order to develop internally, to develop, within yourself, then we have practices like meditation. So we do meditation practice, etc., so that we can develop internally and not just depend on the external factors, which are really not the solution to our problem.
In s tem, da se zanašamo samo na zunanje dejavnike, potem takem ne moremo doseči sreče, iz tega je to jasno razvidno. In pomembna je naš notranji razvoj. Samo s tem lahko dosežemo resnično srečo. Ko se obrnemo navznoter in se razvijamo s pomočjo meditacije in drugih metod, potem se ta sreča razvija v nas samih. In na ta način tudi potem nismo več odvisni od zunanjih dejavnikov za srečo, ker razumemo, da to ni rešitev in ni pot k trajni sreči.
So now, then, keeping this in mind, then we perform actions through the 3 doors or 3 ways we say. So for example, physical action, and then vocal or speech action, and then through our mental action, state of the mind. So these are the 3 doors, the physical, the speech, and then the mind. So through these 3 doors, we perform various activity.
In obstajajo 3 tako imenovana vrata, z vsem tem, kar smo slišali zdaj v mislih, zavedanjem vsega tega, potem delujemo skozi tako imenovana 3 vrata fizičnega ali našega telesa, skozi vrata našega govora in skozi vrata našega uma, stanja našega uma, mentalnega stanja. Na ta način delujemo, izvajamo dejanja telesa, govora in uma.
And of these 3 activity or action, then it can be determined into 3 kind, which is a positive action, which is negative action, and which is neutral action.
In s temi, skozi ta 3 vrata se potem manifestirajo lahko dejanja, ki jih razvrstimo v 3 kategorije. Ta dejanja so lahko pozitivna, lahko so negativna ali pa neutralna.
With a physical action and speech, then we can see, concrete, tangible result.
In ko gre za dejanja telesa in dejanja govora, lahko vidimo nekaj konkretnega, se pravi, ta dejanja so oprijemljiva, lahko jih zaznamo.
But with thoughts, there is no concrete or, kind of a tangible result or expression that one can see.
Ko pa govorimo o umu ali o mislih, potem ni ničesar oprijemljivega, ničesar, kar bi lahko videli ali zaznali.
For example, physically, if you go and hit somebody, it is very obvious, then you are in big trouble, Speech also, if you shout at somebody, then straight away, we know the result, But mentally, as I said yesterday, the state of our mind, it is very tricky, So sometimes our physical and vocal might seem very nice and very, good person, but inside that person, you don't know what the motivation is. But on the other hand, a person might appear a little bit, straightforward, little bit rude with his words, but inside, he might be a very nice person, trying to help you, trying to show you that you are not doing something right, and then trying to lead you in the right way. So if his intentions are genuine in that sense, then sometimes physically also may appear differently, but the motivation, the result will be another way. So that way, mentally more difficult to judge.
Recimo, za primer, če damo delovanje na nivoju fizičnega, recimo dejanja telesa, če bi šli nekam in bi nekoga udarili, potem se takoj neposredno manifestira posledica tega, potem s tem zaidemo v težave. Recimo, če kričimo na nekoga, je to zelo jasno vidno, kaj se dogaja. Medtem ko govorimo o umskem stanju, o mislih, pa ne moramo biti prepričani. Recimo, včeraj smo govorili o tem, da je pomembno, kakšna je naša motivacija, kakšno je stanje našega uma in to ni vedno jasno razvidno. Recimo, nekdo se lahko navzven deluje kot zelo prijazna, dobra oseba, ampak mi ne poznamo resnično njegove motivacije in lahko da ima kaj za bregom. Medtem ko je lahko nekdo drug spet zelo direkten, mogoče celo nevljuden, ampak v resnici nam poskuša pomagati, nas odvrniti od določenih negativnih dejanj in nas voditi v smeri boljšega, v boljšo smer in na ta način, če je njegova motivacija res iskrena in pozitivna, potem bo sledil temu tudi dober rezultat, vendar tega ne moremo presoditi samo preko teh zunanjih manifestacij, ker ne vemo, kaj se dogaja v umu.
So now we can see that the mental state is the most important. So depending on the mental state, the physical and the vocal follow. So therefore the state of the mind is the most important. The rest two of them will follow the state of the mind.
In na ta način vidimo, da je najbolj pomembno, kaj se dogaja v našem umu. To je najbolj pomembno, ker bosta govor in telo potem sledila temu, kar je v umu. Zato je stanje našega uma najbolj pomembno.
So the starting point of changing what we do is to change the way we think.
Tako da začnemo spreminjati stvari na ta način, da spreminjamo svoj način razmišljanja.
And when we try to change a mental state or the mental disposition, then we must modify our habits, mental habits.
In ko poskušamo spremeniti svojo umsko naravnanost, se lahko lotimo tega tako, ali pa se moramo lotiti tega tako, da spremenimo svoje miselne navade.
And we can do this through practice of meditation.
In to lahko storimo s prakso meditacije.
That is using our mind in a more concentrated and controlled way.
Z meditacijo potem svoj uporabljamo na bolj zbran in na bolj fokusiran način in kontroliran način.
What is troubling the mind can be removed with meditation, so our mind can exist in its most pure form.
In vsa negativna stanja uma lahko odstranimo z meditacijo in na ta način pridemo do tega, da se umiri in obstaja in ostane v svoji najčistejši obliki, neomadeževani obliki.
We can change a distracted mind into an undistracted, efficient mind.
In raztresen lahko spremenimo v zbran
We can change bad habits into good habits.
In slabe navade lahko spremenimo v dobre navade z meditacijo.
Through meditation, because through meditation we gain control over the mind.
Kajti z meditacijo lahko ukrotimo svoj in ga nadzorujemo.
So we can direct the mind what is right, what is wrong, what to do, what not to do. So we gain control over the mind. The mind doesn't control us, we control the mind.
In tako lahko usmerjamo da povemo, kaj je dobro, kaj ni dobro, kaj naj počne, česa ne počne. Na ta način pridobimo nadzor nad svojim umom. Ni več tisti, ki kontrolira nas, ampak mi kontroliramo svoj
So basically, when we do meditation, then first we can obtain a calm, abiding state of mind.
In prva stvar, ko se lotimo meditacije, je to, da pridemo do tega, da je naš umirjen in počiva v tej umirjenosti.
And through this, then we can see things as it is without confusion and take control of the situations as it should be and not be controlled by the situation.
In na ta način, ko pridemo do tega umirjenega stanja vidimo, kako stvari zares so brez vsakršne zmede in potem lahko kontroliramo situacijo, kar mora biti, namesto da situacija kontrolira nas, moramo mi nadzorovati to, kar se dogaja.
So that is the shamatha and vipassana meditation.
In to dosežemo z meditacijo šamate, umirjanja uma, in z meditacijo vipassane, globokoumnega pogleda.
Able to obtain a calm, abiding state of mind is through shamatha meditation.
In kako lahko pridemo do tega uvida, vpogleda je tako, da najprej razvijamo umirjen um.
And through that, then when one is able to be free of confusion and see the situation as it is, then that is the vipassana.
In potem, ko se osvobodimo zmede, ki je posledica nezbranega, nemirnega uma, potem lahko stvari vidimo takšne, kakršne zares so, in to je potem vipassana meditacija uvida.
For example, there's a river, a stream, and if you, steer the stream, then lots of dirt, lots of sand, in the water, then the water is not clear. So same way our mind, lots of confusion like this, then the mind is not clear. It doesn't see what is right, it doesn't see what is wrong. We want to achieve happiness, we don't want suffering, but we are unable to recognize the method of achieving this happiness. We are unable to recognize how to avoid these sufferings, so that is confusion. So it is like the stream which is very dirty, full of mud. When you steer the stream.
Na začetku, ko imamo tok, ki ga poskušamo kot reka, recimo deroča reka, ki jo poskušamo usmerjati, in ker reka dere, je polna umazanije, polna peska, in to je podobno kot je naš v zmedenosti, v nerazumevanju, in potem ne more videti ali pa razločiti, kaj prav in kaj narobe. Vsi si želimo doseči srečo in se izogniti trpljenju, ampak zaradi tega, ker smo zmedeni, potem ne vidimo, na kakšen način, kakšna je prava pot do tega, da bi to dosegli, in to je neka zmeda, in na ta način, potem kot umazana deroča reka, je tudi naš zmeden in nesposoben videti stvari takšne, kakršne so.
Now, through the shamatha meditation, then we learn to not steer the stream, but let the stream be as it is, without disturbing the stream. So when you do that, then all the, the sand, the sediments will settle in the bottom of the, river, and then the water will be clear, clear and calm. So that way, through the shamatha meditation, then we settle our mind. We are able to achieve calm, abiding state of mind. And when we are able to achieve a calm, abiding state of mind, like the calm water, then things become clear. So that is, letting the stream settle down without disturbing it. Letting the mind settle down, achieve the calm, abiding state of mind. So that is shamatha meditation, and that method is the shamatha meditation.
In se pravi, zdaj ta zmedeni pa z metodo šamate, z meditacijo šamate, začnemo umirjati na ta način, da ga pustimo tako, kot je. Se pravi, da ne poskušamo več na silo usmerjati svojega uma in ga s tem motiti toka reke, ki je zaradi tega močan in umazan, kalen, zaradi vseh usedlin, ampak pustimo, da se sam od sebe umiri. In na ta način postane miren, jasen, in ko se ta začne umirjati, ko se popolnoma umiri in se posedejo vse te usedline, ki so prej zaradi nasilnega usmerjanja toka mazale vodo oziroma so povzročile, da je voda kalma, potem na ta način dosežemo stanje umirjenega uma. In ko dosežemo to stanje, potem lahko stvari tudi jasno vidimo. Se pravi, ta metoda je to, da pustimo, da se brez da bi ga mi ves čas motili, pustimo, da se umiri samo od sebe, in to se imenuje metoda šamate.
And then, once the stream is completely calm and settled, then if you look through the stream, then you can see the fish, swimming around. You can see the different stones, different shapes, different color, everything very clear you can see. So same way, once we are able to achieve calm, abiding state of mind, and through this, then gradually we develop the true insight into everything, the reality of things as it is, the ultimate state of things. So that is the vipassana. So vipassana is the insight into things as it is, without confusion.
In potem, ko se ta reka umiri, se popolnoma postane mirna, potem lahko vidimo v tej postane jasna in v tej reki vidimo lahko ribe, razne kamne, njihovo obliko, barvo. Jasno vidimo na isti način, s tem, ko umirimo svoj potem s časoma postopoma pride do tega, da imamo resničen uvid in vidimo, kako stvari so takšne, kakršne so, in vidimo, kako vse je, kakšno je dejansko stanje stvari. In to imenujemo potem meditacija vipassane ali meditacija globokega uvida, kjer ni nikakršne zmede več.
So, other example, I can see in front of me the camera that is pointing to me. It is sitting on a very nice tripod. These days you can get all kind of tripods. Sometimes very light tripod, sometimes very heavy tripod, and the light ones are less expensive, the heavy ones are more expensive. So before I used to like taking picture. So I buy light tripod because I want not expensive tripod. Then I realize that my pictures are not good, shaking. Then I realize because of the tripod, too light, so the picture when it takes, it shakes, and then cannot get a good picture. Whereas then I'm forced to buy a heavy tripod. So when I buy a heavy tripod, when the picture takes the picture, it is stable. So when it is stable, it can take a clear, good picture without any, a problem with the focus. So same way, then the tripod, the heavy tripod is like the good good shamatha meditation. So it through that heavy tripod, it has support. It supports so that the camera does not shake. And through that kind of a tripod, then the picture that you get is clear. So a strong shamatha, like the strong heavy tripod, gives you a good vipassana, which is the clear picture. So to have a good vipassana, then good shamatha is very important. Without good shamatha, vipassana is not possible. So shamatha is very important. So if you have good shamatha, vipassana will develop. It will develop. So one must stress on the shamatha and spend time, practice shamatha always.
Potem Rinpoče spet dal en primer, recimo tamle ena kamera, ki je usmerjena direktno van in ta kamera je postavljena na tripod, na stojalo in obstajajo razne vrste stojal, nekatere so lahka stojala, nekatera težka in težka stojala so tudi dražja. In Rinpoče pravi, da je včasih rad fotografiral in si je zato kupil tripod, ker pa se mu je zdelo, da lahko kupi tudi pocen tripod, je vzel tega lahkega in posledica tega je bila, da slike niso bile dobre, slike so bile stresene, ker lahek tripod, čeprav je cenejši, ne daje dobre opore za kamero in zaradi tega so potem slike nejasne, so stresene in potem je videl, da ko si je nabavil težek podstavek tripod stojalo, potem je bila kamera stabilna in je lahko naredil zelo ostre, jasne slike. In Podobno lahko rečemo, da je dobra praksa šamate, je kot to, da imamo dobro stojalo, dobro osnovo, dober podstavek, težek podstavek, ki podpira našo meditacijo in zaradi tega potem naša slika je jasna, ni stresena in se ni težko osredotočiti. Iz močne šamate, iz dobre meditacije umirjanja uma, potem sledi dobra vipasana, samo od sebe pride dobra vipasana, dobra meditacija globokega uvida, kot pridejo iz težkega tripoda tudi zelo jasne, zelo ostre slike. V resnici ni možno sploh doseči tega uvida, brez da bi najprej razvili dobro meditacijo umirjenega uma. Ko pa je naša meditacija šamate močna, se pa avtomatsko se razvije tudi meditacija globokega uvida, zato moramo delati veliko prakse šamate in ta praksa je zelo pomembna in jo ves čas delamo, ves čas meditiramo prakso umiranja uma.
So, now we carefully examine the cause of these sufferings, as we have been talking the sufferings. So if we examine the cause of these sufferings carefully, then we realize or see that the mental afflictions, the mental confusions, such as desire, hatred, ego, selfishness, etc., are the main cause of these sufferings.
In zdaj, če dobro pogledamo, skrbno preučimo, kaj dejansko povzroča trpljenje, potem vidimo, da so to negativna stanja uma, ki se manifestirajo kot razna, kot ego, kot sebičnost, kot sovraštvo, kot pohlep in vse to je osnovano na zmedi, na nevednosti in to so glavni vzroki trpljenja.
We think, in order to make us happy, we need to get something, achieve something. If I get this, I will be happy. If I get that, I will be happy. So this is desire to have things. And we think through that kind of, that kind of behavior, then we will be able to achieve happiness. But this desire leads to hope. So hope, when we have too much hope, then it leads to fear, fear of not achieving. So that is suffering. So though it presents to us first as something that will satisfy our need to achieve happiness, but actually it really doesn't do that in long term. It creates another suffering. So that way, and then these kind of mental afflictions create more suffering. In fact, they are the root cause of these sufferings.
In zdaj na površinskem nivoju mislimo, da bomo dosegli srečo na ta način, da bomo neko stvar dobili ali da bomo nekaj dosegli. Skratka, želimo si, v nas se pojavi želja po različnih stvareh in mislimo, da če nam bo to uspelo, potem bomo dosegli srečo. Ampak kadar si nekaj želimo, potem to vodi v upanje, v pričakovanje in preveliko pričakovanje lahko potem vodi v strah, da ne bomo dosegli tistega, kar si ga želimo in to je spet neka oblika trpljenja. In zato na dolgi rok tak način razmišljanja v bistvu spet ustvarja nove in nove verige, ko se pojavlja novo in novo trpljenje. In zaradi tega moramo razumeti, da so ta stanja uma, kjer si želimo doseči nekaj, v bistvu glavni razlog za to, da trpljenje sploh obstaja.
So, so that way, and then, like I have visited some of, followers, the Dharma followers around the world, and then sometime been put up in their houses. Sometimes I visit people who are very, very well off, their house looks like a palace for us. And not even one house, but they have so many houses. Then I talk to them and I say, you achieved so much, must be, you must be very happy. And they tell me personally, of course, first they say, okay, but as you, stay with them for longer and they open up with you, then they say, we are far from happy. We work so hard, spend so much time, earn so much, and then build so many houses, but at the end of the day, we don't even get time to, enjoy the house. They are so busy, fear of whether they can maintain that wherever they have reached, whether they can maintain that state, whether they can competition then. You have to be in that level with others, so whether you can maintain that. Otherwise, all that work, they think is waste. So they have many houses, yet they have no house. So like this. And then their children see this, and then how much their parents work, and then for what, they're not able to enjoy. Then the children don't want to stay there, don't want to follow this. They join fields like music, art, and then become free. And then the parents very upset. I build so much, I do so much, but now my children don't even want to stay with me. They don't even want to, take what I have built so much. Then they are fear. The children also afraid, that if they stay there, all this responsibility come to them, and then, they are not sure whether they are up to this responsibility. So like this, though you have material, wealth, all this, but mentally very unhappy, So like this, so they are not the solution to our happiness, true happiness. Otherwise, they should be very happy. They have everything in the house when I go there. They have not only one place to meet people, we call sitting room or something, right? Sitting room. Not only one, but they have got 10 sitting rooms in one house, of different size, of different design. There are 5, 6 dining rooms to eat food, and I'm not sure which they use, which day, whether they have, but like this, so, but no time to really do anything there, so like this.
Rinpoche pravi kot primer tega, kako nas želje nikoli zadovoljevanje želja ali pa tistega, kar želimo doseči, nikoli ne more pripeljati do resnične sreče. Ko recimo je obiskal razne kraje na svetu in so praktikanti Dharme ga povabili v svoje domove, da je nekaj časa živel z njimi. In je bil pri mnogih zelo premožnih ljudeh, ki imajo hiše, pravzaprav cele palače, ne samo ene ali pa celo več takih nepremičnin posedujejo. In potem, ko se je pogovarjal z njimi in jih vprašal, a ste veseli, ste zadovoljni, ste srečni, in najprej seveda so bili odgovori, ja, seveda, dobro nam gre. Ampak potem, ko je nekaj časa prebival pri njih in so se malo odprli in so se začeli iskreno pogovarjati, so rekli, ja, v bistvu je daleč od tega, da bili srečni. Zelo veliko smo delali in potem smo zaslužili ta denar in potem smo gradili te hiše, ampak na koncu pa sploh nimamo časa, da bi uživali v teh stvarih, da bi sploh kaj imeli od tega. In pojavlja se strah potem seveda, kako vzdrževati vse to. In ker seveda, če nekaj dosežeš, potem je tukaj tekmovanje, ker so še drugi, ki hočejo isto dosežiti in potem moraš neprestano delati, da bi ohranil ta svoj nivo, ker se jim zdi, da potem, če pa ne uspeš v tem, je pa bilo vse preteklo delo za manj. In Na ta način pa ljudje, ki imajo recimo veliko premoženje, njihovi otroci potem vidijo, kaj se dogaja, vidijo, da njihovi starši niso srečni in potem se usmerjajo drugam v svojem življenju, hočejo biti bolj svobodni, se usmerjajo v umetnost in podobne zadeve, ker v bistvu niti ne vejo, če bojo ostali starši ali bojo lahko prevzeli vse to in so to odgovornost tudi nas ali bojo sploh zmogli vse to. In starši so potem nesrečni, ker njihovi otroci ne želijo iti po njihovih stopinjah. In na ta način lahko vidimo, da kljub temu, da nekdo poseduje veliko materialno bogatstvo, je še zmeraj v svojem umu je nesrečen in tako lahko vidimo, da to ni rešitev, to ni pot do trajne sreče, ker sicer bi vsi ti ljudje, ki imajo ogromno premoženja in so nekaj dosegli v življenju, bi morali biti srečni. Ljudje, ki imajo hišo, kjer je 10 konferenčnih sob pa 6 jedilnic, ampak v bistvu pa nimajo časa, da bi sploh uporabljali vse te prostore.
So, when our mind is not in control, but under the control of these kind of confusion, conflicting emotions, then we experience suffering. It leads to suffering. So that way, there's a very nice story. In Tibet, an enlightened master, was there. And of course, he used to give teachings and had lots of practitioners, followers. So they, had great devotion in him and used to make offerings to him, so for receiving teachings and like this. And then he collected all the offerings and then wanted to visit. He was from the east, and then he wanted to visit central Tibet, Lhasa, to have audience or to have blessings of the Buddha Shakyamuni in Lhasa, a statue. And wanted to do many offerings there. So he collected and saved all the money, and quite a substantial amount of money. And finally, then he and his attendant started the journey to Lhasa. And in those days, you don't have cars and all this. They have to make journey on foot. So they walked. And in those days, there are lots of, dacoits, who will come and take your belongings and like this, threaten you and all like this. So on the way, they were very, all the time worrying, if anybody is coming or not, if anybody, they could not sleep in the night, one had to be awake to see if anybody coming, so always unhappy. So the master, he really thought, what is this, so much, suffering, though, carrying this amount of, money, of course they are going for, making offering and doing something that will bring happiness. But he saw that it is really no good. It is not bringing any happiness because so much worry that this money will be taken away, and then through that their life could be in danger like this. So one day the teacher, as they were walking, the teacher said, "You continue going to the attendant, and I will follow you." So the attendant went and he said, ahead, see if there's any place that we can beg for some food or anything like that. So you go ahead. So he went, and then the teacher, took all that money, and then he thought, this is really no good. It is not good for one's, mental, no happiness at all. Then he came across a, stream, and then he threw all the money into the stream, and then he said, and then he was so happy, because after that, no more to protect, no more fear of their life. Who will kill them, for nothing, if there's nothing to take. So he was so happy, now no more to be worried, Then he went, and when he met his attendant, he said, now you can be happy, nothing to worry. We can be happy and we can proceed to Lhasa for receiving the blessing, doing all the pilgrimage. We can go very happily. So the attendant said, why? And he said like this, I threw everything down. Now we don't have any more burden. We don't have to be afraid of anything. So it's like this. So it is a very powerful story. So it has to, happiness has to come from within. External material only if we think can give happiness really doesn't. It creates many confusion. So of course, but we have to be, as I said, balanced. We cannot throw everything that we have right now and then expect to be like him. He is in a different level. So of course we have to recognize that, we have to realize that, and we have to try and be like that. But we have to be like that gradually as we are. As we develop, we have to be that. We cannot act to be that. We have to become that. So gradually we have to become.
In kadar je pod vplivom zmede, nevednosti in negativnih čustev, potem to vodi v trpljenje. Obstaja lepa zgodba, ki se dogaja na Tibetu, kjer je razsvetljeni mojster iz vzhodnega Tibeta je učil in je prejel veliko daritev od učencev, ki so prihajali na učenje, in potem je on vse te daritve zbral in se odločil, da bo šel na romanje v Laso, kjer bo daroval vse to, kar je prejel, bo daroval kipu Bude, ki ga Tibetanci vidijo kot resničnega Budo v templju Džokang, in se odločil, da bosta šla, ker takrat se je potovalo peš, ni bilo avtomobilov, in sta šla z njegovim pomočnikom in sta vse te daritve sta v obliki denarja sta jih vzela s sabo z namenom, da jih bosta darovala v Lasi. In šlo je za res veliko količino denarja, in na tej poti pa je bilo veliko razbojnikov. Vedeli so, da so razbojniki na poti, ki bi jih lahko napadli in jim vzeli ta denar, in zaradi tega sta bila ves čas zaskrbljenja, kaj se bo dogajalo po noči. Je moral biti zmeraj en od njih pokonc, en od njiju pokonc, da je stražil, in potem čez nekaj časa je učitelj začel razmišljati, da je pravzaprav tole vse skupaj eno trpljenje. Seveda hoče, namen njegov je bil, da bi s to daritvijo dosegel srečo, ampak vse, kar je dosegel, je to, da je ves čas zaskrbljen, kaj se bo zgodilo, da se boji za svoje življenje in življenje svojega pomočnika. In zato je rekel svojemu pomočniku, naj gre naprej v naslednje mesto in naj pogleda, če se da dobiti kaj za jesti. Medtem ko je učitelj vzel ves ta denar in ker je videl, da povzroča sama negativna stanja uma, je na nekem mostu oziroma pri neki reki vse skupaj vrgel v reko. In potem ga je občutil veliko olajšanje in bil zelo vesel, ker zdaj se mu ni bilo treba ničesar več bati, ni ga bilo strah, kaj se bo zgodilo ali jih bo kdo napadel. In potem sta se spet srečala s tem pomočnikom in je rekel, no, zdaj si pa lahko tudi ti vesel, nimava nobenega denarja več in nama ni treba skrbeti in greva lahko veselo naprej na romanje, na potovanje in prejmeva blagoslove. In na ta način lahko vidimo, to je močna zgodba, ki nam govori o tem, da resnična sreča lahko prihaja samo od znotraj in zunanje premoženje, zunanje bogatstvo prinaša samo zmedo. Seveda moramo biti pa spet na nek način uravnoteženi, ker ne moramo vsega razdati ali pa vsega vreči stran, ker nismo na istem nivoju, kot je bil ta učitelj, ampak se moramo truditi, da bomo postopoma prišli do tega, da bomo spoznali vse te stvari in s tem prišli spoznanja, da je resnična sreča prihaja samo od zunaj, se pravi, ne moramo kar naenkrat vsega zavreči, ampak moramo delovati ustrezno tem našemu razumevanju.
One might think why he threw it in the stream and not give to anybody, you know. So, yeah, so these days we think a lot, right? But could be there was nobody there, first of all, to give. And second of all, by giving that, does it really solve the problem? You know, he had that and he had to throw it away. You know, so as a practitioner, he knew that that would only bring more, you know, more a slave. You know, you will become more slave to these things, you know. So it is not the real solution to helping anybody. You know, rather by genuinely, helping beings through one's practice, to develop them internally was more beneficial to them than just satisfying their needs through external material benefits, you know. So it could be those reasons, you know, we never know, you know, but whatever it is, you know, because we nowadays think a lot, you know, so we automatically think that way, you know, so that is through our habitual pattern. You know, we think money, we think all these can give us happiness, you know, so we think why waste that, isn't it? But if you can really overcome those, then happiness can be achieved even without having much of those, you know, so could be many reasons, you know, so I don't know, but for me as a practitioner, that could be a reason.
In Rinpoche pravi, sigurno, ali pa verjetno se nekateri začeli razmišljati, zakaj pa je vrgel stran ta denar, zakaj ga ni nekomu dal. In potem pravi Rinpoche, dan današnji smo navajeni, da radi razmišljamo, veliko razmišljamo, glavo imamo polno misli in prav mogoče takrat ni bilo nikogar, ki bi mu lahko dal ta denar, ker sta potovala po zapuščenih krajih, ali pa tudi, ker je bil mojster in je delal prakso dharme in je videl, da sam denar ne prinese rešitve, da to ni resnična rešitev, oziroma bi lahko mogoče s tem, da bi nikomu dal ta denar, mu povzročil še večje probleme in zaradi tega, ker je to zelo jasno videl, je vedel tudi, da lahko drugim bolje pomaga, če dela dobro prakso in tudi druge nauči, da najdejo svojo srečo znotraj samega sebe. In zaradi tega ni toliko pomembno, kakšni so zunanji pogoji ali kakšno je zunanje stanje, vendar pa avtomatsko, ko slišimo, denar, pa nekdo ga je stran vrgel, imamo navado v bistvu, da avtomatično pomislimo, sej zakaj pa ga ni za nekaj koristnega uporabo, ampak v resnici smo lahko bolj srečni brez velikega premoženja, oziroma če lahko vse to notranje zadovoljstvo razvijamo, potem ne potrebujemo veliko stvari in Rinpoche čeprav ne ve, on zdaj ugiba, ampak verjetno je imel take razloge ta mojster, da je potem denar vrgel v reko.
Okay, so we stop for a break here.
In zdaj bo pauza.
Om Benzer Sadhu Samaya Manipalayam Benzer Sadhu Dinavati Thandidum Mem Sudukhaya Membo Subhachaya Membo Anuradhu Membo Sarvasiddhi Medayata Sarvagama Sutame Zedam Shriyam Kuru Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarvatatha Gadam Benzer Mahamem Benzer Mahasamaya Sadhu